struggled with addiction most of my life. I always called it like a drug problem. Really, I was such a liar, and I destroyed every relationship I had. I was always an opiate addict ever since I was like 16 years old, but I always did dope and stuff too. But after that, I continued in my addiction. I always had a good job and worked and tried to provide as best I could for myself and for my family. But I continued to do drugs and just lost myself, started shooting up dope, and that's when I lost myself. I lost my son. Man, I hurt so many people in my addiction.
I've known about drugs since as long as I can remember. My parents and all that, they all smoked weed and did drugs, and it was just a natural lifestyle of partying. I just didn't know any different. At the age of 8 years old, it's the first time I ever smoked marijuana or weed. I never met my dad. He was never in the picture. I never met him not one time. By the time I was 12 years old, my mom had left. She had abandoned me. She just kind of left unannounced. We came home from school one day and everything in the house was gone. There was a note on the counter because there wasn't even a table, and the note said, "Have a nice life. I'm sorry I can't take care of you anymore. Love, Mom."
Man, I used to be tripping. Like, I didn't care about nothing, no one, any type of life out there. I didn't care, you know. It was a scary spot in my life because I found myself in so many predicaments where freedom or death, just endangerment for anybody around me, especially those who I loved or who could love me and cared for me, always seemed to put them in dangerous situations.
I was gonna try to kill myself and had a bunch of cuts on my arm and stuff, but the cops were coming, so I ran with this car and I went down this low maintenance road where I used to get high and stuff, and I dipped a sock with a stick in the gas tank and I went and lit it on fire, and then I sat in the car, and that's the way I was gonna go. And then the cops started coming, and so I grabbed my stuff and I started running through the woods, and the car kind of blew up.
I smoked weed all through foster care and drank beer, but I never messed with the hard stuff until later. Eventually, though, by the time I was 33 years old, I had done something really stupid. I was pretty heavy into meth and other things of that nature. It landed me in prison. I lost my freedom. That's kind of when I realized I needed help, that I couldn't do it alone.
So I'm incarcerated, and it's at the point in my life where it's like, I don't go to jail, you know. I go to the jail inside of the jail. You know, people always go to regular populations. I'm always in SEG, max security. I'm inside of a cage, inside of a cage. And then months pass by. They offered me 10 years, 8 years. I was gonna say I was trying to get 6 years, but money pops up, little accident money. I call my sister, I'm like, hey, I need a signature. Go ahead and buy me out. I got the money, such and such accident. The money's right there. She said, nah. She said, I gotta pray about it. I said, what? Pray about it? All right, I'll pray too. I'm already being deceitful, you know. I'm like, I'm gonna tell her what she wants to hear. I'm gonna tell my mom what they want to hear. I'm gonna be good. I ain't gonna do no more of this crap. I'm sorry, you know. And sure enough, she's like, nah, Gabriel, my heart doesn't sit right. God's telling me no. So now I'm mad. I'm like, God telling you no with my money. And I was like, it is what it is, you know. She told me about Strong Tower Ministries. She told me about a Christian program for a year if she does buy me out. I was like, heck no. What I look like going to church, you know? Like, I didn't go to jail to find God.
I'd gotten out of prison and I paroled out to Galveston County. I tried to do right and I tried to live good like I had planned while I was in prison. And I got a job and I lived right for about 8 months. And I guess that's as long as it took. And the next thing I know, I was back into drugs. It started out drinking like it always does. And I was back into drugs again. I had lost my job, lost everything I'd saved and worked for to make life right again. And was just back into that same old thing again. I knew that it wouldn't be long I'd be back in prison. And sure enough, I went back on a violation. I was in county jail. That's when I started hearing about Strong Tower, was in county jail. Well, actually, it was before county jail. Even while I was in Galveston County, I was working with this man, and we drove by the place here at Strong Tower. We drove by it a couple times, and I said, "What is that place?" And he was like, "Oh, that's just a rehab for people. You know, you don't need that." And little did he know I really needed it. A little after that, I was really bad in my addiction. It was one of those early mornings, like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was at the Jack in the Box. I think it was in Santa Fe, and I had seen a crew there. I guess it was a fundraising crew. They were there getting breakfast, and I was there in my addiction, charging my phone, and I looked at these guys, and they had these Strong Tower shirts on. And I said, I've heard that before. You know, what is that? What is it y'all do? And they were like, oh, we're a ministry for rehabilitation. And I was like, I don't need that, you know. So I just went on about my business and as far as my addiction, and ended up back in county jail. It was at that moment in county jail I was there, and we had this volunteer that would come in and preach to us and teach to us different things. And he had mentioned Strong Tower. His name was Pastor John Elliott from the Foursquare Baptist Church. And when he had told me about it, I was like, wow, that sounds so great. He just described it very well. And when he had told me, I didn't even realize that it was the same place that I had previously heard about from these different situations. I guess God was steady, pounding it in me, just telling me about Strong Tower. And I just kept avoiding it. But it was at that moment that I realized I needed Strong Tower. And so I went to ISF, and then upon getting out of ISF, I was accepted at Strong Tower, and I came to Strong Tower to change my life. It's a really great place.
Somewhere deep down, I know that wasn't me, that isn't me. But for the years, I portrayed an image of what I was, of this monster. I accepted it, but somewhere deep down, it was bugging me. So now when I'm in the hole, this time, I'm arguing with God. What do you want from me? Why you ain't let me die? Why you ain't let me overdose? Why you ain't let homeboy just kill me? Why Jack died? Why I'm always locked up? Why? I go up to court, but for some odd reason, my lawyer shows up saying, hey, time served, 9 months state jail. You go home today. So I'm coming home, and I'm like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm back in my same scenarios in the streets. One night, we get in a shootout, and everything hits me like within seconds. I see my whole life just flash before my eyes. The families I destroyed. I see everything just hits me, man. And I hear it saying, are you done yet? What you waiting for? And at that point, I was overwhelmed, tearing up. I pull out the gun, pull out the heroin, the crystal, I put it on the floor, and I tell him I'm done. For the first time in my life, I cried out and I apologized and I asked for help as far as this God. I told her, I need this peace thing. I need this God. I need this happiness y'all got. I want what y'all have. And she said, all right, go shower up, go to sleep, and go to church Sunday. Wake up Sunday, my sister picks me up. I just jump in the car, I don't know where we're going. I'm thinking some fancy church out there in Katy or something. And I realized we're going 45 South, so I'm like, where we going, Pasadena? And then I just hush up, and I'm just in for the drive, and we pull up. We out here in Hitchcock, Texas.
When I found Strong Tower, that was a different deal itself. That's when my stepbrother was in Lee Summit, Missouri, and I was in Cass County Jail, and that's why he ran into a table before they even knew, and I kind of blew up this car and stuff, and they got a flyer, and then it was the day after, and so that's how I knew that kind of God already had a plan, and that this place, Strong Tower, is going to change my life. Got on a bus for 27 hours, and I came down, and God changed every part of my life, really, and broke me down. Found my brothers, found a family. It's because a pastor and his vision, that's why. Learning how to be a father. Proverbs 22:6 says to direct your children in the way of the Lord, and so that's what I want to do. I want to direct my family. I want to just chase righteousness and do the right thing, and so I called it a drug problem, but I had a spiritual problem in my life. Finally, I got some faith, and he put grace upon my life. And now I have a foundation of Jesus. I can stand firm, and I can do like a lot of things, like with the strength from the Lord, you know what I mean? And I can pray for people, and I can speak life onto people, and I can give joy. I mean, I bear fruit in my life now, like love, joy, peace, come on. Self-control is a big one for me. And joy. I love the joy of the Lord. That's what it is. So.
The main revelation that I've had, though, is that I'm no longer alone. I have a family here. I'm loved. I'm a child of God. I'm no longer an orphan. I don't have to live that life of aloneness anymore, and it's beautiful. I've grown closer to God in so many ways. When I got here, I couldn't even pray. I couldn't even pray in public. But now being able to pray for another person and helping them in that process is so great. I just love Strong Tower. I don't know what I would have done without it.
That's when I met Kyle and Grace Hill and Marcus, and we did a little interview. And Chris Wade prayed for me that day. And then that following Monday, the next day, I showed up with my suitcase and been here since. You know, I did not know what I was stepping into. What I did know was I was done playing devil's advocate. I was done living a lifestyle that I wasn't created for. I was done believing the lies of that's all I ever was going to be. And through the grace of God, since I've been here, I found out personally what it means to have a relationship with Christ, my Savior. You know, personally have him as my Father, personally have him as a friend. God called me for a greater purpose. God wants me to serve my family here at Strong Tower and let him be in control of the rest. Let him be in control of my 3 boys. Let him be controlling every aspect of my life. Overcame that intimidation of doing good. I know who I am. I know I'm a child of God. I know he called me here to serve. And, you know, just as a man, it's time for me to step up and just be a blessing to those around me now. You know, no more being the taker, no more being the deceiver, the one hurting. But now if I could put a smile on your face, hey, what's up? You know, we're here. I'm grateful for Strong Tower. It's more of an honor to be actually serve and to be around great men and women of God who will answer that call and to help out the next brother or sister who's hurting just like I was.